Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Deep Blue. This is a documentary through Miramax. I have a feeling this is part of the Fox acquisition. I don't know, because there's nothing Disney about this. It's actually was made through BBC originally. It is an hour and 31 minutes long. It's from 2003, and it is very much a documentary about the ocean and the creatures that live in it, and the extremes that in which they live. And I thought for sure that just like Disney has so many documentaries about animals and the sea and conservationism and climate change and everything else that goes on. I thought this would be just one more in the deep, deep stack of ocean documentaries. And they take different tacks on that kind of thing all over Disney Plus, obviously. But this one was actually surprising. They don't have. I mean, this is 2003, so we're not working with 4K, 8K, million K cameras. We don't. There's not a thing yet. But so you see a lot of grain in the footage that you see underwater and on the beach and everything else. It's it's a little rough, but at the same time, it feels a little bit more real. Like some of those Disney nature things and National Geographic stuff are freaking gorgeous, and they are super clean in how they are depicted. Um, but this one is, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was shot on film necessarily. It just might have just been shot at a uh, lower resolution digital. I don't know. Either way, because a lot of the stuff is dark, it's underwater. It has to compensate for that, and that's what creates the grain. Uh, Even if it is high definition, but some of it looks astounding. There's some stuff in this that the other stuff doesn't touch. The newer Disney nature stuff doesn't touch. Disney nature like penguins and the Monkey Kingdom and things like that. They get a famous narrator, and this one has one too. I'll tell you about him in a second. They name the animals and they create a storyline with how they survive. And oh no, Jeff the penguin is just having a hard time finding a date, and then he finds one, and they have to raise babies, and they try to create that whole narrative that makes it more interesting and engaging for children. But this one does not have that. This has Pierce Brosnan, James Bond, in a very sedate British tone. He is just chill as anything, talking about the. If anything, it sounds like he's narrating the opening of a horror film, a very British horror film, but still it is so low key and foreboding at times because he is talking about some of these creatures that prey on the other ones. There is a moment in this where the killer whales attack the sea lions on the beach. Yes, the killer whales make it to the beach at high tide and just start grabbing sea lions, and they pull them in the ocean, and then they whip them into the air. They throw them into the air like 50, 60 feet. It looks like it looks pretty freaking high. And a lot of this stuff, in order to, I don't know, to make it seem more dramatic and so it doesn't go by so quickly, a lot of this stuff is just shown in slow motion. So you just see the sea lion flying in the air, and then he slowly comes down and hits the water, and then he's gone. They play with their food, I think. Or at least that's just one more way to kill a sea lion, by tossing it really high in the air and letting it smack hard on the water. Ooh. So yeah, there are moments where different like sharks and other animals just go into a feeding frenzy. You see some really alien stuff in this. I mean, especially when they go deep. Deep Blue, they go deep, like the Marianas Trench, and that's an area where we've spent more people into space and into the moon than we have to the deepest levels of our planet within the Marianas Trench. It is a lot of this stuff. It almost looks like they recreated it digitally, and I don't know if they did or not, but it looks so alien that it could have been. I don't know. Again, they do show moments where they take a sub down, a small kind of thing that probably James Cameron was in at some point, or somebody like James Cameron, but he's not involved in this whatsoever. This is more of a, I think Richard Attenborough is involved with it and Michael Gambon, but they're listed in like the IMDb credits, but I don't hear them at any point in this. It's just Pierce Brosnan. Anyway, they do show the sub going fairly deep and looking at creatures in the pitch blackness, except for the ones that glow, that have. Dang it, I forgot the term. I'm getting old. Yeah, so they're bioluminescent. So yeah, they glow and they shoot little puffs of electricity or colorful stuff that uses it. They use that to either draw in prey, or like the anglerfish, or they use it to distract and get predators off their tail. So it's a whole. It is truly an alien world down there. Some of them just pulse with light, and it's some incredible looking stuff. And yeah, yeah, we've seen some of this in other videos and other documentaries about the ocean and the creatures that live in it. But something about this, I don't know, just appeared different. I don't know what it is. Again, there's no making a story about the jellyfish who fell in love or went to breed or something, whatever. There's none of that in this. There's no shark who had to get dinner for the kids, and it's literally they go from the surface of the water, especially in the cold areas where polar bears are waiting for things to freeze over enough so they can go traipsing across like vast areas that were once just ocean in warmer temperatures. And there's also points where they're waiting for it to, the whales are waiting for parts to thaw enough so they can come up for air. There's like a area just about the size of maybe a football field or less, where some whales have to take turns coming up and taking a breath so they don't drown. So whales don't drown. They have to find a spot that's open at the surface so they can breathe. So yeah, it's some astounding footage. It's some really gorgeous, crazy, and visceral stuff. The whole crab beach, kind of unsettling. Yeah, there's that. Where they make little balls of sand and stuff. Yeah, it's a little unsettling. You see and you can see it at those points. Sometimes it's so grainy, pardon the term, but it's not on the beach, that it doesn't seem as maybe genuine, or it doesn't say, oh, we can get better shots of that now in 2021 because we have better cameras. And yeah, that's not a lie, but it still looks amazing. So if you're into seeing yet another yet another documentary that's not Disney-fied, that's not Disney made, give it a shot. You want to hear Pierce Brosnan? You want to hear James Bond talk to you about oceans and gigantic whales? Some of the final shots are truly nothing I've seen before. Beyond I think it's the blue whale, which is considered the largest creature on Earth. I think it's the blue whale. But that's one of the final shots. But before that, they show something I've never seen before. We see a lot of times birds will swoop down and just pick a fish out of the water and fly away with it, and there's their meal. Well, there's a point where you see they're shooting from underwater, and you see a cluster of creatures just underwater for a good amount of time, stirring up trouble. And as they get closer, you realize it's all birds. There's just a ton of birds, like it seems like hundreds, underwater for an extended period of time. Okay, maybe it's not extended because everything is so slow motion throughout this thing. Maybe it's just a matter of a minute or two, but it seems like a lot longer. But it's astounding to see birds flying underwater in the same way they fly in the sky, and all for a meal. So, yeah, if you don't have any interest in looking at anything else in this thing, watch it for the last 5-10 minutes of this, and it's pretty crazy, pretty amazing. So, yeah, I recommend it to you for the documentary watchers out there. It's one more. There's a lot on Disney Plus. Yeah, what's wrong with learning anyway? So, all right, let's pick tomorrow's episode.
105.
What? Two below? Okay, well, we get a movie this time, and it's a classic, sort of. It's old. I imagine it's fairly old. I can't imagine it's anything new. But we are going to be watching Davy Crockett and the River Pirates. Davy Crockett and the River Pirates. That's what we're watching next. I think we've seen Davy Crockett thing a while back, but I don't know if it was like one of his movies. But Davy Crockett and the River Pirates on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. See you back here tomorrow with that.